Oh, Spencer, I'm back. Oh my gosh, it's been so long, and I'm so excited. I am joined by my co-host, a man who says he's the third best Silver Pro in Utah, who I think is the second best Silver Pro in Utah, Danny Capro.
Um, well, I think one of us is correct. I don't think both of us can be incorrect. I just think that's a given.
I think Michael's number one. I think that it's
yeah. That's what I think. Like
just-
one of us is correct for sure. So
and that's nothing against you or Alex. Michael's just
he is
insane.
great.
He's just really good at Magic.
He's really, really good.
So, well, thank you so much for joining me, Silver Pro, Danny Cathro. You know who can help you become a Silver Pro is our oh wow, that messed up. You know who can help you become a Silver Pro is our sponsors. You know, if you want to get better at Magic, playing at Game Grid Lehigh is a great way to do that. You can check out Game Grid at playatgamegrid.com. If you're looking for awesome Magic content, you can check out the Mana Base with Nigachu. I hear that dude's qualified for a Pro Tour topping a GP with Merfolk, so he can certainly help you there. And then you can listen to us. You know, we are trying to get better all the time, and that's a great way to do it is by supporting those sponsors at the Mana Base and at Play at Game Grid. So thank you so much to them. If you want to support this podcast directly, you can go to patreon.com/LTOMTG. You know, we appreciate the one patron that we have. That is not a slight, by the way. It's really hard to get patrons when you miss episodes. And Danny and I have a deal. We're not missing an episode the rest of this year. So that's exciting, Danny.
It's gonna be great. I'm really excited. I think both of us are rejuvenated and ready to attack the limited formats that are coming. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and you know, I personally am still sick. During a team meeting today, I was talking and my voice like dropped like seven. It just got deeper and like what. My coworker was like, "Is there a demon inside of you? What just happened?" I was like, "It's a demon called bronchitis, and it's been really hurtful." So, well,
I've had a lingering cough for like 3 weeks. I think it's that time of year.
Yeah, you coughed a lot during the last episode. I was like,
yeah, and that's me catching a lot of them. Like I've been turning off my mic, trying to, but it's tough.
Well, let's start with our first segment, which is Biggest Mover. So every week on the show, we like to talk to you about the things that we think have moved in the format. We kind of talked a little bit about the commons. We obviously did an uncommon set review. Now we're going to talk to you about like where we think we might have been wrong a little bit. And I'll go first this week. And I want to start with my down because I think it's a little kind of a weird down. My up is everybody's up. Like everybody was wrong about this card. But I want to start with my down, and that's Hunt the Week. So I am usually really high on Hunt the Week. Like really high. I think it's usually puts green, like when green gets a fight card that gives a bonus, it's usually one of the best removal spells in the set. Hunt the Week has in the past, like in Magic Origins, for example, it was really good in Magic Origins because it's a huge tempo swing. You add power to the board, you kill their best thing, you get an attack in, especially in a racing situation. And the problem is with Hunt the Week is that the removal is really good in this set.
Yeah, you have a lot of good options. Like every color has a very good, almost unconditional removal spell. So it's like an embarrassment of riches. So the other removal that's not as good then goes down as priority.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad. It hurts. And the thing is that I think that even blue has better removal in this set than green does. And that's a little sad. I mean, we also just came from Savage Stomp, which was like...
yeah, that's... yeah. That card's stupid, though.
It's one cheaper Hunt the Week unless I'm targeting a dinosaur, and then it's better Prey Upon for some reason.
Yeah, no, that card was super silly. Because my down for the week is like the same concept. It's also a removal spell that's worse.
Down.
Yeah? So, mine is...
I actually think that Luminous Bonds is better than man, I'm gonna get so much. I think it's the best common in the set.
So there's definitely like some glaring weaknesses to Luminous Bonds. So the Lords set, you don't really want to have a bunch of Luminous Bonds if you're playing against a merfolk person that happens to get like 2 lords. Like, you're gonna be in a really rough spot if that's the removal spell that you're leaning on.
I don't find that to be true, right? So like, let's say you're playing against vampires, right? You obviously want to kill their lord, but like, how many of those? So, okay, vampires is a bad example. I actually think you're right against vampires.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Well, and merfolk make a
hold on.
bunch of little dudes too. Like, it's
I'm
really
thinking
bad
about this.
against those.
I could consider that I'm wrong here. My problem is like that the removal is so good. So like, let's say you're white red, you still have mutiny, you still have what's the
Bombard. That
bombard,
card's great.
right? You still have impale, you still have chupacabra. Like, the removal is so good that I need luminous bonds in so many of my decks to increase the permanence that I have in play.
That is one of the benefits. But I mean, your opponent's also increasing their permanence in theory, right? So you need to be using Ascend more than your opponent's using Ascend, which isn't always a given. I mean, normally it'll be true if you're in white, because Luminous Bonds is such a good card. But like, I think that the drawback on the Lords is really big, but I don't know about. There's like other rares and mythics that it's bad against, but
yeah, I think it's interesting that both of our biggest movers happen to be removal spells. I don't think that's ever. Sorry, both of our biggest movers down happen to be removal spells. I don't think that's ever before. My biggest mover up, and your biggest mover up. Actually, I almost had your biggest mover up be my biggest mover up, but your biggest mover up is actually my biggest mover up in sealed. So let's talk about yours first.
Yeah, so mine is Sailor of Means, and this card is like, it's gotten so much better. Oh my goodness. So the combination of the format slowing down and you wanting to play decks that want to slow down, and then Ascend has made Sailor of Means like just feel great.
Yeah. So Ascend is like the first big huge one, right? Like fact that you get a treasure token, 2 permanents for 3 mana, one of them a great blocky body is great. And then in sealed and in draft, like, think of the best rares in the set. There's the one that makes the sapperlings, right?
Yeah.
Like that
colored.
Yeah, single colored. Yeah. We still charging Monster out of the 3rd pack in draft and 2 packs in sealed. Being able to splash that is insane.
Yeah. The format being less aggressive leads you to want to have the capacity to splash, especially in a format that has Evolving Wilds, Traveler's Amulet, other ways to make treasures, and so the splashing, Ascend, and it being like blocking being better in general is like has made Sailor of Means get just unbelievably better.
Let's talk about my biggest mover up. I think we gave this a B on our set review, if I'm not mistaken, a B or a B minus. So we thought the card was good, and that's Golden Eyes. But we were wrong. This card is an A.
Yeah, it's like Plague Wind. It plays very similar to that.
The number of times where I got this 3rd pick the other day and was like, I don't know what just happened. I first picked a Ravenous Chupacabra, second picked an Impale, and got this and was like, I don't know what just happened.
It's a weird looking card. I've heard that the non-Ascend version of this card is just good. What's that called? Everyone was referring to it at the GP, and I didn't remember what it was called. But I guess it's like an old card that just is like 3 mana. All creatures get -2.
-2.
Yeah,
it's I think it's Infest. There we go.
Yeah. And so that card is already like reasonable, especially in a format that has like lords, because all the lords are 2/2s, and so you can kill the lord and then kind of knock down a bunch of their little guys that they're trying to do. But the upside on this is
the thing is like let's say that they have a bunch of 4/4s in play, and you have a bunch of dudes in play. The thing is you top deck this card in a board stall, and you're like, oh, sick.
Yeah.
Play this, attack, kill you.
Kill all of your chump blockers.
Yeah, kill all your chump blockers, and then shrink all your other stuff. And if you don't block, you die.
It's like an overrun. It kind of plays like an overrun in that situation, right? Where overrun is making your little dudes into important dudes, but you're like killing their little dudes and making the big dudes not do as much. So it kind of plays like that effect.
It is. And the thing is I haven't had this card played against me yet. I've done quite a few drafts, and I always seem to be having this card. And like, I play against black decks where I'm like, well, if they I can't play around Golden Demise. If they have Golden Demise, I lose. And then I'm like, well, I top deck my Golden Demise, you lose. Like, I'm not excited for the first time that I'm on the receiving end of this card.
Yeah, we had one of the matches that we were playing at the Team GP. One of our decks had Golden Demise, and it was against like this really good white-blue, like Curious, Obsession, aggro, evasive deck, right? But if we ever drew Golden Demise, they automatically lost and could never win. And it was like, oh, well. And that's just the front half. That's like this is just really good against an aggressive deck. And it also has the benefit of winning any late game. So.
Yeah, so those are our biggest movements this week. Let's go on to color of the week. This week we're going to talk about blue. We've already talked about. I think that blue has two really let's say three really big notable commons. I think Sailor of Means. I'm sorry, my throat hurts. I think that the 1 mana flash, the pirate one,
Sea Legs.
I think Sea Legs is a notable common. I think that card is actually insane.
It's really weird, right?
Talk about that.
I think people play it less than they should because of how weird it is. But
I've gotten like a 13th pick Sea Legs, and I was like, well, this is wrong.
So yeah, it's very efficient. Like 1 mana combat tricks, I love just because if you can.
This card is not a combat trick, dude.
No, it's not. But it plays it. It is, and it's not at the same time. All right, yeah. It kind of gets the best of both worlds. I mean, giving your pirate +2 toughness, it'll play like a combat trick because your 2/2s won't trade. Sure. But then all of a sudden you have a 2/4 instead of a 2/2.
So, but the thing is like this is played as counterspell for me. This is like it's done so much stuff, and then I would say that the third. Well, maybe there's more notable comments because Kite Cell Corsair is probably another notable comment that's really important because I think that I was talking to Michael Hindrocker about this at the Pro Tour, and we had both come to the same conclusion that like our best aggro decks have been blue-red.
Yep, it's because you have the aggressive 2-drops that are basic,
and that like it's you win through choosing people out. So
Buccaneers Bravado is amazing in that deck.
Yep. It's the best Buccaneers Bravado deck. And then I would say that the last notable comment is Waterknot and how good that card is.
It's great. There's like one uncommon that really punishes it, but besides that, there's not much. And I thought, like, we talked about Sailor of Means. I think that one's great, obviously. But Waterknot is, like, it's a very good common. Like, Claustrophobia. That's basically what it is. And
I want to give an anti-shout-out to Danny's roommates for those watching the video version of the podcast.
They're great.
If you're listening to the audio version, you probably didn't hear that, but that was funny. Let's talk really quick about the commons and sealed. I think that it's pretty close to the same. I think that Secrets of the Golden City is good in both sealed and draft, but
that card is overperformed for me a ton.
It's really good in sealed. And then Sailor of Means also I think overperforms in sealed. But another one that I just kind of want to mention that has been good for me in both is Deadeye Rig Hauler. That card is great. That card has been moving up higher on my pick order, so that's a pretty important one. And then I think for notable uncommons, I think Curious Obsession is one of the best.
That was my number one. Like it facilitates so many like of the aggro decks. Like blue-red aggro gets so much better if you have a Curious Obsession. That card just plays awesome.
Yeah, I think the card is actually insane. Like, I think that it's already seeing weird constructed play, but I think that like if I was to talk about any uncommon in the set, it would be that one. As far as the one that surprised me the most,
because Keen Sense wasn't ever good, right?
No, I mean get that +1/+1 is
big.
It's so good. Like if you put that on either of your evasive creatures, like even the goblin, like the number of times I've put that on the goblin, like they have to double block that goblin the first of all, so it makes any combat trick.
Yeah, like, Sure Strike.
It's like broken.
Yeah, and then it has the downside that if you didn't attack, it goes away, but you're just always going to attack. Why would you not attack?
Yeah. So for Seal, so I actually don't know that there's another really notable uncommon in this set for me as far as
The
blue
other
goes.
uncommons are pretty weak, actually. Like, I think you can make Aquatic Incursion work.
Yeah.
And Expel from Oraska is good, but it's just a bounce spell most of the time. Like, it's a very good bounce spell, but it's not.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you have Ascend, like it's
it's script type.
insane.
Yeah.
So it's quite good. But I see Hornswoggle's fine because it puts a permanent into play. So you are actually okay playing that card, which you're usually okay playing in Essence Scatter and Sealed. Hornswoggle, because of the format, is actually a little bit better than Essence Scatter, but it's not like gonna break your bank if you don't get a Hornswoggle, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I definitely think Curious Obsession is like heads and shoulders above.
It's actually one of my better uncommons in the set, and I think the set has
probably
really
top
good
5
uncommons.
or so. Like,
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like we're talking about a set with Golden Demise and Ravenous Chupacabra,
and
like
Needletooth Raptor, I've loved that card.
Yeah, and I still think that Curious Obsession is like quite good.
Yep, for sure.
So what color pairs do we like with this? Blue-red.
Blue-red is I think it's the best aggro deck by a pretty good margin.
I think it's a substantial margin also.
Yeah.
Played blue-white, which has been okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. You get an uncommon, which is nice. So that's like one of the big drawbacks of being in a color combination in Ixalan, like green-black, that didn't have, like, you just don't get an uncommon. So it's like a card.
I'm pretty sure all the color pairs have uncommons.
Yeah, now in this set they do, but in Ixalan they didn't. Which
I see.
And so like I think blue-white, it plays pretty well.
The other thing about blue-white specifically is the uncommon is correct, right? The uncommon is the one with Ascend, and I think that blue-white is the best at getting Ascend.
Yeah, there's lots of
tokens. Because your removal, both of your best removal spells, leave permanents on the battlefield.
Yeah.
At common, and then between Squire's whatever the lifelink
devotion.
Yeah, and then the treasure makers. It's so easy.
Yep. And even in white has a lot of Ascend payoff, and blue does also. So like you can put those cards in your deck and reliably have cards that'll take advantage of that, which is nice. And then Merfolk it's not as good as it was in the last set, I don't think. But it's still a good deck. Like, if it's open, you can do great.
Yeah. So those two color combinations are really great. I haven't played blue-green yet.
Well, that's Merfolk. Merfolk's good.
Oh, I think that deck's terrible. I think in draft, I would literally never want to be that deck.
If you get a Lord, it's very good. If
I opened the Mythic, I would snap that deck off so fast. Because that Mythic is, like, busted.
Well, also the rare, the Deep Root Elite is also insane.
I don't think that card's very good.
Deep Root Elite, if you're in a
one that
Merfolk
puts a counter on stuff.
Yeah, no, that card's very good.
I haven't been impressed. Like,
you just never put a counter on it. What?
Yeah, my expectation was really high to start with, so maybe that's why. But the other thing is like green kind of pulls you against blue. I feel like. So first of all, I think that Jade Bearers, like, you have to play them, and I think they're bad. And it's too hard to get Glint Grove Stalkers because every other deck wants them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Am I wrong?
Folk deck definitely, you lean really heavily on the blue 1-drop, the unblockable, just because you need to get out early. The Mistcloaked Herald. And then you also have to play Jade Bearer, but you're, again, not happy with it. Like, if you have to play it on turn 1, that's really bad. So.
Yeah. Any other notable color pairs?
I mean, blue-black's the one that's left, but I haven't had a lot of success with it. I think it normally adapts a third color, but I'm not sure.
I was going to say, I think that blue-black is still quite good. The only problem with blue-black is, like, you don't want any of the black creatures in blue-black other than, like, Dusk Legion, Zealot. You're okay with having that. But, like, and Dusk Charger. So both of those are good. But, like, even Forerunner Coalition, I'm not really interested in that.
Unless you get a rare, right? Like, that's the,
Yeah. So blue-black is good, but it's because of the blue cards and the black removal, not so much the black creatures. So.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely a less, like, you can be in blue-black and do fine, but it has less of, like, a game plan as some of the other combinations with blue.
Yeah. So that is the color combinations. Where do we think this color stands? I've heard people say that this is the best color in the set. What's your thought?
I think it's in the middle.
I think white's the best color, so
Yeah.
I think that
I've liked white and black a lot, I think, and then blue.
So blue-red is my favorite deck to draft, but that's because I like aggressive decks.
Mhm.
But I think blue's interesting. I think that if I was like opening a sealed pool, I would want blue cards.
Uh-huh.
Just because I think Sailor of Means is that good in sealed right now. But other than that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's in the middle. Like, I think it's third best. But good. And the nice thing about this set is they're all very close. So, like, you aren't at a huge disadvantage by being in a certain color.
Yep. Well, let's move on to our training grounds really quick, and that's combat tricks and removal. So this is our combat tricks and removals review, and I'm just going to go over these listed combat tricks because they are not a lot.
Yeah.
We have Moment of Triumph in white, Sea Legs in blue. I like how you put Moment of Craving in black. That is.
There's literally not one in black. There's not like a true combat trick in black.
And Buccaneers Bravado. You put Aggressive Urge on here, and I literally had to look it up.
Yeah. So this set, it has very, very few playable combat tricks. And Ixalan, I think, had 2 in most of...
Oh, yeah. Tons
and plus very good auras that you were wanting to play, and Pirate's Cutlass. And so, this set has a whole different view on combat tricks.
Yeah. So, I think that the reason for that is you can't reasonably put really good combat tricks in a set with this many good 2-drops. Otherwise, the format just goes completely aggressive.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, really quick, let's talk about that. So, slower decks benefit because they can't catch up. You know, if you play a 4/4. You can expect that to live most of the time. Unless you're playing against pirates, there's really not a lot that can really punch through.
Yep. Yeah, I think that just having less access to removal spells makes a bigger body just more reliable, right? So, if I'm drafting a deck and I get to turn 4 and I play my 4-drop, if I was an Ixalan, I expected to take damage to get profitably traded with or to not be able to block because of 1 with the win. I did not expect my 4/4 for 4 to do anything. Yeah. But you can reliably in this set play something, just like a dude, and it can brick wall their first 2 plays because they just haven't drawn one of their tricks.
Really quickly, I know that this isn't in the show notes, but as this is part of the removal episode, I kind of just want to talk about one of the reasons that I think that combat tricks are so low on this is because of the number of good removal spells. So if you look at white, at uncommon you have Baffling End, at common you have Luminous Bonds, and you have Divine Verdict, which is way more playable in this set than I feel like it's been in a long time. If you look at blue, it's basically just Water Knot. But you do have the bounce spell that turns into the Expel from...
Expel from Oraska.
Yeah, and then in black, we've already talked about Golden Demise is basically Plague Wind at uncommon. Impales at common, it's great. Moment of Craving at common, it's great.
Reaver Ambush is another one. Ravenous Chupacabra.
Yeah, and then in red you have Bombard. You have... Mutiny, which I think is underrated. I've seen Reckless Rage do work. Shake the Foundations has been amazing in the decks that I've seen play it.
It's been surprisingly good.
And then I've been super impressed with Crown.
Kilani's Crown. Yeah, killing an X1 is definitely a real mode on that card.
Being able to put that on their Stalker or their Flyer or whatever is a real thing. And then if you happen to be in a racing situation, you can put that on your X2 and attack them. It's holy crap! I just I have to leave a guy back for this, and I'm still going to take damage from it again next turn. So I think that obviously green just basically has Hunt the Weak, But I would actually argue, I might get a little bit of crap for this. I would actually argue that Thrashing Brontodon might be a removal spell in this set.
Thrashing Brontodon? Is that
the There's the 3/4 that you can sacrifice to kill an artifact or an enchantment, but there's so many times where it completely blanks something and or activates another creature of yours that it trades. It feels like a 2-for-1 so often, and acts as a removal spell that is just an onboard removal spell, kind of like was it Sinister Concoction?
Yep.
It kind of feels like a Sinister Concoction in green at times. I'm not saying it's a removal spell, but it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that, where it can kill an enchantment. So as a lot of times, like if they're playing Baffling End or Luminous Bonds, and then after that you play a Thrashing Brontodon,
it blanks their board and activates a good ability later. It's kind of weird. So the removal is really, really good in this set.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that because of that, right? Like you don't have, it had to happen, right? Because I need a way to kill my opponent's bombs, right? Like I need to be able to kill a Tendershoot Dryad, because if I don't have one,
you die.
I'm gonna lose.
Yeah. That's why I think Tendershoot Dryad is another example of why people are getting picky with the removal that they want. So a lot of people I've talked to have not wanted Luminous Bonds as much, just because, if I am playing against Tendershoot Dryad or a Lord or Twilight Prophet, then I need a real removal spell, and I have access to them. They are available to me in this set, and so I can prioritize something that's kill that, because there are some obnoxious cards that you must actually kill and can't just pacify or tap down, which is harder, obviously. But.
Sure. I also want to say that I think that cards like Sea Red and there are still good enchantments in the set.
Sure, for sure.
So
Curious Obsession, we just said, is one of the better.
Curious Obsession, Sea Red. What's the Dusk one?
The Squire's Devotion is also fine.
Squire Devotion, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of really good enchantments, and that has to bring your removal up.
Yep.
So with that, let's talk really quickly on decks that need more consistent draws, because Comet Tricks are inherently situational. I think the only exception to this is Buccaneers Bravado. You only play that card in a deck that.
Yeah, in your blue-red. It's almost a blue-red card. It can be black-red.
Or black-red, right? But every creature in your deck is a pirate.
Yeah, but if you can turn on Bravado, that card, you live in... I live in constant fear of my opponent having a Buccaneers Bravado.
Yeah.
Yeah. It have those type... Combat Tricks can do that, for sure, where you're... you have to respect them, and they're very powerful.
We talked about Sure Strike last set, right? It's kind of the same thing, where it's I can't beat a Sure Strike anyway, so go for it. Do your thing, brah. And the thing is so often on Moto the last week, my opponents are playing around Buccaneers Bravado, and I'm that makes my Buccaneers Bravado better, because you're taking 6 this turn because you don't want to get blown out by a Buccaneers Bravado, but next turn I'm just going to cast the Buccaneers Bravado on my unblocked creature and you die.
Unless you have enough creatures to block my 2/1 Menace, my 2/1 Flyer, and this 3/3 Menace Headstrong Brute.
For some reason, my Headstrong Brute.
Yeah.
So we've already talked a little bit about bombs, but I think that they have to, when you have this good of removal or when you have this good of bombs, it kind of evens each other out. You have to have both.
Yep.
And one of the problems with sets, people had a really big problem with Dragons of Dark here, because all the bombs were stupid enchantments that you couldn't kill.
Oh yeah, Fate Reforged.
Fate Reforged. To be fair, I loved that format. But I did understand why people had a problem with it.
Were you the one opening Citadel Siege?
I played Teamer almost exclusively in that format. Bear's Companion is one of my favorite limited cards.
That card is sweet, though. I really like that
card. So let's talk really quick about different combat tricks. So we have the efficient kind. So we have Moment of Truth, Skullduggery, stuff like that. And I think that, also really quick, Moment of Truth has been better for me than Vampire Zeal. Have you noticed that?
The 2 life is really good. Like, so there's a lot of synergies, obviously. So gain life is kind of like a sub theme, but also if you are in an aggressive matchup mirror, the Moment of Triumph, obviously, it just gets insane because it lets you gain 2 life in addition to trading really efficiently. And so if you're in that type of matchup, both of those are really important. You want to be able to dump your hand as fast as possible and then make sure you're ahead in the race.
Yeah, and I think that Moment of Craving does that same thing, and then Buccaneers of Bravado does the same thing, right? Like these are all combat tricks that are really good in racing situations. Which I think that if you're going to be an aggressive deck, that's basically what you want. And then we have other types of combat tricks, right? You put Finisher on here, so this is things like Buccaneers of Bravado, Crash the Ramparts. These are things that are like, oh, you messed up, now you're dead.
Yep. Yeah. What I was kind of trying to go with this is, I think, so when you're drafting a combat trick for your deck, you can't draft too many, right? So especially in this set, you need to be playing lots of creatures and lots of removal, and so there's not a lot of spots left in your deck in order to fit in combat tricks, and there's not very many in the set, so you're only going to get 1 or 2. And so when you're
I think that this set especially, right, is that 1 to 2 mark. Like I find that I'm cutting combat tricks more than I usually do because I'm a pretty big fan of combat tricks, but like in this situation it's like, yeah, I drafted 3 momentary what is it called? Moment of Triumphs. But like, is this Moment of Triumph actually worth this slot? Because there's so many. First of all, there's so many playables.
Yeah, you end with a lot of playables, and you get an opportunity to like really craft your deck.
I drafted a black-white deck the other day where every single card I drafted was black or white.
So black-white is a great example because I think those are the 2 deepest colors, and they're also the colors that can kind of take advantage of cards that look not as great. Like Dust Charger is just a good card in black-white because you're going to be going to the late game and it's going to be a 4-mana 5/5 that you're very happy about.
Yeah, or the 1 mana 0/3, right? Where it's just like I didn't know that this card would be playable, and I think that these finisher type combat tricks, they're not usually good in that deck. Like
no,
and
therefore so I like them in like blue-red is the perfect example where that your game plan as a deck is to curve out and then you want some reach. So you want your combat tricks to give you reach.
So Crash the Ramparts, while it's only 1 pack, right? You wouldn't want that in your black-green mid-rangey control deck. You would want that in your green-red loaded, like not even I don't even know that it's dinos, right? I might want that in like my lots of 2-drops, like my Nest,
Nest
Robbers, and like my 2-drop deck that like then goes on to like play 3 mana, like the 2 3-mana 4/2s, right? Those decks want those big things, and then we have those situational combat tricks, and even situational removal spells is a good example, I think, in this slot. Like I had a pick late in this black-white draft where is it Legion's Judgment?
Where it was like power 4 greater.
And I was thinking to myself, is there even a creature with this power and toughness that I care about in this format?
Like kill 6/6 tramples.
Does this actually kill anything?
It kills a 1 with the wind or a Mark of the Vampire if they have that.
Sure.
That's about it.
And that's the thing is like, it's funny that you put Sea Legs into this because I think that card Swords to Plowshares, but
it's definitely weird, right? Like you have to be in a Pirates deck.
You do.
Yeah, and you also have to have a blocker if you're using the other side.
We just talked about how blue-red was like our favorite aggro deck, so I'm taking every Sea Legs I see for that deck.
That's funny.
Also, I think Sailor Means is unstoppable when you put that card on there.
1/6. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Pirates Cutlass and Sailor Means has been my personal favorite in this set.
Well, Pirates Cutlass has been great. Also, it is refreshing how well Ixalan complements this draft format. I'm impressed.
I'm really excited for them switching. So I feel like every time that you have the 2-set format, one is going to be better and you're going to not like the other one, right? So I'm excited for them to start making draft formats where I think they're switching to just we're only going to draft the set and then move on to the next set and then move on to the next set.
Is this okay? Let me ask it this way: you get a pick. You can draft an aggressive deck with all the best combat tricks for your deck, or you can draft a deck with no combat tricks. Which one are you drafting?
So if you're an aggressive deck, are you talking about like in this format? Like
you could draft a control deck. There's 0 combat tricks in your entire 75. Or you can draft an aggressive deck with the best combat tricks for your deck. You get to pick the number. You get to pick which one.
Okay, yeah.
What are you doing?
So, I mean, it's a tough question, right? So I think I would take the aggressive blue-red deck that has like the 1-drops and 2-drops and like 2 or 3 Buccaneer Bravados or something. And, like, I would take that deck and be happy with it. But there's also like the Golden Demise Tetsamok deck that is going... Yeah, like if they draw Golden Demise, you're probably going to get ran over. But so it's like the aggressive deck is going to win a lot of games, but it's also going to look dumb against certain draws from the better.
This draft format I think has a wide range. I think that you can draft any color combination. It's funny, the number of people that I've heard complain about this, they're like, man, I hate what is the word? Tribal formats. I'm like, I don't know that this is a tribal format. Like,
it doesn't feel like it, really.
Like, basically, it's true that your blue-red deck are pirate decks, but, like, is there a card that you want in your blue-red deck that isn't a pirate card?
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Yeah, like, are you missing out on some random dinosaur because it's a dinosaur, not a pirate? Not really, right?
No, you really don't. And maybe in pack 3 you do, right? But I feel like there are so many good complement cards that it doesn't happen. So, like, for example, Stampeding Horncrest, yeah, it's a dinosaur, and it's a 5-drop, but I don't want 5-drops in my blue-red deck anyway, so, like, I don't care that I'm missing out on that. And while that card is, like, one of the better red commons, I don't care. I think, and the thing is that in black-red, if I'm drafting black-red, I do probably have some number of red dinosaurs in that deck. Like, and so I can play it, right? Charging Tuscadon does go in my black-red deck, but it doesn't go in my blue-red deck. But that would be true whether or not this was a synergy or whether or not it was a tribal format. Yeah. And you know, when I'm thinking about some of those other decks, right? I don't like black-red, right? Because I think Grasping Scoundrel is kind of not that good of a Magic card.
Uh-huh.
It's
yeah, like, it's okay. It's really good when it works, and it's really bad when it doesn't work.
I would just rather have a Dinosaur Hunter, like, basically all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people... I mean, even you and I are guilty of this, right? Where we get set in our ways of the previous format, right? So early on, I was drafting Moment of Triumph really highly. I was like, this is like a really good 1-mana combat trick. And it's like...
It is. Like, you're not wrong, right?
It is, but also I probably should have been taking any 2-drop over it in this format, right?
Yeah, because your white deck doesn't need that effect, really. Right? Like, that's not how your white deck wins.
I'm happy to have it, but I don't need it.
Yep. So, yeah, combat tricks are definitely a weird... I think they are very good for Limited. I think that combat tricks add more to Limited than... I think Wizards pushing combat tricks in Modern design has been really good. Like, combat tricks used to be laughably bad because all of the creatures sucked, all of the removal was amazing. And so, like, the old...
the idea of me casting a Giant Growth was insane.
You're right.
And now if they printed Giant Growth, I'd be like, get wrecked.
Yeah, no, like, Giant Growth would be broken in Modern Limited, right? Like, it would be so... Like, we're like, Moment of Triumph, yes, give me...
Can you imagine Groundswell? Like, you Groundswell and you're like, get wrecked.
Yeah, seriously. And it's just because they've adjusted how Limited plays out, so they've made removal not as Doombladey and more Waterknot-y.
Yeah. And the thing is I am super okay with Waterknot being good.
Yeah. No, like, it's fine.
Crust sucked. Like, no wonder no wonder people thought that effect was bad. Crust is bad. but like water nut.
I don't even know what Incrust is, man.
It's blue 1. Target creature, enchanting creature doesn't untap, or artifact or creature. So
so it's like the ice over, but for water not mana, like 1 blue for.
Well, it also can target. It also can target artifacts.
Yeah, ice over.
Does Ice Over also do that?
Well, vehicles, but that's the same thing.
Oh, sure.
Same
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I just realized? Is there no vehicles in this set?
No, there's the 4th. Oh, this set? I don't think so. But they said that it would be like occasional, right?
There is no vehicles in this set.
There's not.
Oh, but really quickly, before we move on from combat tricks, do you feel like, do you think that Pirate's Cutlass counts as a combat trick?
No. So if I'm thinking of like a pure combat trick, it's an instant speed.
I agree.
Alter combat, like you get into attacking and blocking, and you change what's happening. That's what I think of it a combat trick.
Sure. I agree with that. Yep. Cool.
It can have a lingering effect or not, but yeah, it needs to be instant.
So that's it for the combat tricks removal episode. Don't forget to check us out at patreon.com/LTOMTG. Support this podcast directly. We separated those Patreon because they're 2 different shows, and like Danny puts in his time, Michael puts in his time. It's only fair to them that they get compensated for what people are willing to pay. So check that out, patreon.com/LTOMTG. You can also support our sponsors. Don't forget at go playgamegrid.com. Find out if there's a game grid near you, as well as the Mana Base and their sponsor at Fusion Gaming. So check them out. You can find me at Spencer on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook at Spencer Stephen Halland. You can like the page on Facebook. Just search Limited Time Only. You can find Danny at DJ Cathro. You can find both of us in the Constructive Criticism Family Facebook group, where there's a weekly What's the Pick, as well as sealed conversation, limited conversation. There's tons of stuff in there. And you can find all of that information on the bios page at constructivecriticism.com. You can subscribe here on YouTube if you're watching, or you can subscribe to the podcast, where you will hear Danny cough very rarely. You can also check out our Twitter outreach program here, which is What's the Pick. Listeners can post their hashtag What's the Pick with posting a picture of the pick with hashtag What's the Pick. Anything in the first 3 picks must be a screenshot, Mason, and we would love to see previous picks. With that being said, let's go over What's the Pick. I don't think this has been done in a long time. We're gonna start with mine. Whatever. So
let's do it.
We have what is the name of this tutu? I actually don't remember.
Let me go to it. So is this the one?
I guess we should start at the comments. We gotta start at the comments. This is unfair.
Yeah.
Colossal Dreadmaw, Dusk Charger, Hardy Veteran. Man, Hardy Veteran was so good to start and has kind of dropped off for me. Overgrown Armasaur, Crashing Tide. That card, people, I don't think they actually know what it does. Then we have Luminous Bonds. So that's going to the front of the pack. Evolving Wilds, Dark Inquiry. And then we have Crested Herdcaller. So I think that is the first thing to compete with Luminous Bonds.
Yeah.
Seer, so the 2/3 that you can add mana of any color to your mana pool, the green-white one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that card is really good. I think
it's been very good to me.
Yeah, I think the green-white's a little bit better in this form, but I don't think I would take that over Herdcaller or Luminous Bonds.
So I wouldn't either, but it plays really well.
It does play really well. Then we have Famished Paladin. That's the 2-mana 3/3 life gain. I find this card extremely easy to untap in Vampires. You gain life every turn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. So it's hard to play it in a not white-black deck, though.
Oh, it is a white-black card.
Yeah.
And then we have the card you just mentioned, the Ceratops. So this is the white and a green 2/2 enraged that gets 2+1/+1 counters. I think this card is good.
It is.
I personally, because of how deep white is, am snapping off Luminous Bonds.
So I think that's the common that I would take pretty easily.
You might take Herdcaller.
Yeah, I would take Herdcaller.
Okay.
I think that card's really, really good. I think so. In your green decks, a lot of the ways that you get punished for playing a 5-drop is they just kill it, and Crested Her Caller is like it's so good at like just stalling a board. And 3/3 bodies have impressed me.
They're the
3/3
biggest
isn't always
bodies
good.
on the field.
Yeah,
There's like not 4/4s in this format.
Yeah, Crested Her Caller has been really good to me, so I think I would take that.
All right, go ahead and read this. We have a peasant cube. So this means commons and uncommons only. Go ahead and read these off.
Is this man? Oh, all right. So there's Viridian Emissary. So it's 1 and a green, 2/1.
No, you don't just read the card names. We don't have to.
Oh, but I don't know what any of these cards do. Okay, Elite Scale Guard.
Sure.
Mind Control. Okay. Yep. Confiscate. Vampire Nighthawk. Jace's Ingenuity. Feral Incarnation. Ice Manipulator. Reckless Waif. Savage Lands. Dismember. Bloodbraid Elf. Madcap Skills. Sylvan Library. Snarethopter.
Okay, so in Peasant Cube, you're only playing with commons and uncommons. So I think that there are 4 cards that we can talk about in this pack.
Did you just want to talk about Bloodbraid Elf? Is that why we're doing this one?
So I do think the Bloodbraid Elf is one of the cards you can talk about. I actually am going to change this to 5. I think Mind Control.
Yep.
Vampire Nighthawk, Dismember, Bloodbraid Elf, and Sylvan Library are the reasonable picks.
Yeah, I think Sylvan Library is the best card out of this pack. Not
that Ice Manipulator is not a good card, but I don't think it meets those other cards on power level. I'm going to say that, like, if you're being realistic, I would rather have Dismember than Nighthawk. I can't believe I'm saying that. So,
well, if this is your first pick, right? So,
yeah,
like I would probably take either Mind Control or Sylvan Library.
Yes,
I think. But
I don't know the texture of the cube enough. Like, personally, I don't know the texture of the cube enough to know whether Bloodbraid Elf is like one of the best cards in the cube or just a fine magic card. So for me, I think I would take Sylvan Library because, like, the thing about getting ahead in Peasant Cube is like taking the literal best cards in the cube, and I think Sylvan Library is likely one of those.
Yeah, because like the disparity in power level is pretty big in this pack. For like Sylvan Library, Vintage Cube staple, amazing, and then it goes all the way down to
Reckless Wave and Snarethopter.
Feral Invocation, which is pretty tough to like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And then we have Mason Clark who says, I didn't screenshot it. Mason, download Sketch. Sketch is a free. So, but he says the cards that matter is Green, White, Walker, Impale, and Bombardment. I think we might have talked about this already, and I think my opinion has changed. I would take the Green, White, Walker.
I think I'd probably take Impale, but if it was my first pick. Just Walker's okay. It's kind of weird. I guess, I'd probably take Impale still.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to check out our sponsors and our Patreon. We'll see you guys all next week with another limited time only. And Mason, we appreciate everything that you're doing. Danny, thank you so much for writing the show this week. We'll see you guys all next time.
See ya.